My Inner Knowing, empowering you to find your compass for the journey. We are dedicated to supporting you to rediscover and trust your natural ability to navigate life each day by sharing insight and experience through the lens of two professional communicators and their guests. We intend to prompt internal inquiry that supports all those willing to explore a unique path. Well, hello.
Hello. How are you?
I am fantastic.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more.
Just have been sharing a lot of love with people this week.
Yeah.
And it feels good.
Yay.
Yeah. Giving. And also practicing non-attachment.
So today, there's several things that we were going to talk about. We want to start out with talking about shame as a missed opportunity for kindness. That's something that you've said. Do you remember where that comes from?
There are multiple examples
Okay.
over my life where I was given the opportunity to step forward to help somebody in one way or another that I let slip through my fingers.
Yeah.
And there's some piece of shame associated with the memories when I think about it.
Okay. Yeah.
A not enoughness. I wasn't a good enough person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when you said that, and I was thinking about talking about it today, one of the other things I was thinking about was not just a missed opportunity for kindness to others, but also to ourselves.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then when we do have regret or guilt or shame, then mostly I think we're reinforcing a negative story about whether we're a good person or not.
Sure. And it's interesting because I think, like me, many people, that's not on the radar screen. Or a second.
Yeah. Tell me more. What are you thinking?
Thinking about ways that we let other people down or we let ourselves down by not acting for other people versus times we let ourselves down because we were not acting on our own behalf. As if we were our own best friend, the beloved of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that you say that because sometimes being the beloved of ourself is not acting in what appears to be the benefit of someone. I was thinking about rescuing, right?
Tell us more.
Well, just how, when you were speaking, what popped in my mind was how, how do we reconcile in our mind not helping someone who maybe we witness struggling or has asked us for help? Like, where's the balance there? And I was thinking that we can actually set a healthy boundary and make a choice that is in our highest good and in the highest good of the other, and we could still feel shame about it because of the way that we've been trained or conditioned.
Sure.
So, like everything, it's complex.
It is. I was thinking while you were talking, maybe I could give some examples.
Sure.
And then we could talk about, what are the rescuing aspects of that versus just a missed opportunity. And it's not, I don't think I walk around with a lot of shame about those instances, but they are missed opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
potentially,
Mm-hmm.
or potentially it's what you're talking about. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's
We're
so
gonna find
funny.
out. Are you ready?
Yeah, I don't want to forget this. So, will you forget what you were going to say?
No.
Okay, no. Okay. So
I'm ready.
You're right. And I don't think I shared this with you, but I don't think we hug people very well. And I mean, I don't think there's a connection. I think a lot of times we're hugging because we're supposed to be hugging. Maybe it's a family member, or it seems appropriate or whatever. And for whatever reason, when Xander and I were in Chicago over the weekend, we were leaving the Airbnb we were staying at, and we were driving by this hotel, and there was an obvious, older father, like I would say 80s or 90s, and his probably closer to our age son, hugging in front of the hotel. But it was a tap tap. Not even none of their body touching, other than they both just leaned in and tap tapped.
Oh.
And there was a part of me that wanted to yell out the window, I had some missed opportunity experience. That's where it's coming up. But part of me wanted to roll down the window and say, "You guys need to try that hug again," because mean it. Whatever it is, right? Because we can be struggling with someone and still send them love, right? But anyway, I was like, dang it. Missed opportunity. I wish I had rolled down the window. And not done it in a shaming way, but in an empowering way. It's okay. We need so much permission.
Get on in there, boys.
That's right. I don't even know exactly what I would have said, but yeah. Do over.
I'll push people's hands out of the way, when they I'll come on in here, and I mean, you kind of sense.
Yeah.
And
well, maybe.
Or maybe
sense,
not.
or maybe
but
not.
It is what it is. I was talking to Libby, my daughter, about that, because she hugged everybody when she was little.
Yeah.
She just loved everybody, and it would break her heart. In Mother's Day out, even, she's 2. She would be so heartbroken that people didn't like her hugs. We just had that conversation after you and I went there for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. Connection, being seen, validated. Yeah. Anyway, so shame, missed opportunities. Let's go back there.
Yeah. Do you have shame about not saying something to the...
No, just a little regret. Just a little regret. Yeah. Yeah.
What held you back?
I don't think I thought of it quick enough.
Chicago traffic.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I think sometimes I like to process things, or I'm trying to figure out what I would say. So it was probably that, some of it was probably traffic. Some of it was, what would I say? Not having time to process. Yeah. I'll just stop here in the middle of the street while I think about what I want to say. Then I can roll my window down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad you didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but sometimes as fast as my brain processes, sometimes not as fast as I'd like it to. So, missed opportunities for kindness.
Sure. There are many for me.
Yeah.
What does that say about me? There's the shame piece coming right in. Fascinating. The first one that I can think of is in junior high. It was an old building that they had rails on the outside from the parking lot. You could go down a ramp to get into the basement under the gym.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so all the 8th graders,
Mm.
that was their spot, this railing, and they'd sit on the railing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And everybody would mill about, etc. And there was this developmentally challenged young man named Leroy.
Mm.
And Leroy was, the system had passed him through,
Yeah.
right? They just kept pushing him on because nobody wanted to deal with it. But he
Yeah.
was the sweetest,
Mm.
probably 6-year-old,
Wow.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And at the bottom of the ramp, down the ramp and to the bottom, they called it the spit pit.
Mm.
And when children were being cruel to one another, they would grab somebody's jacket or their books or something, they'd throw it down in the spit pit.
Mm.
And then everybody sitting there, if you had to run down to get your stuff, it was the gauntlet.
Wow.
And Leroy was really heavy, and didn't have any money. And his shirts were, his belly was always out of his shirt and they were dirty and torn, all those things. I mean, this is somebody that, needed protecting.
Yes.
So somebody threw Leroy's jacket down there, and I was a watcher. I did not spit on Leroy, but I was just a watcher as everyone was jeering, etc. And he was laughing, thinking it was funny, enjoying the attention, really, but not.
Right. Right.
And so I can still see his face. He had these gray hazel eyes looking up at the crowd, leaning over that railing and putting his hand up. Don't you spit on me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's still shame associated with that. And I don't think that's rescuing.
No.
That is somebody that I could have helped because I could have. I was big.
Yeah.
And people liked me. So if I could go back in time, I would have told everybody to cut it out and walk down with Leroy to get his stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to be brave.
Yeah, well, it's a repeat thing now that you had me thinking about it.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Well, when I was in college, there was a John Cougar concert in Kansas City. So a friend and I drove over. It's in the days where you had to go stand in line from early in the morning to try to get the best seat. And we drove over. I don't know. Got here at 10 p.m. the night before. We'd wait all night. And we're in line, and there's this... his name's not coming to me. I could probably remember it, though, just because this was so impactful. But he was a little bit like Leroy, not nearly that challenged. But we were standing outside of Kemper Arena or wherever we were. But in any event, we're on the sidewalk in downtown Kansas City, and this is before all the urban renewal. So it was a little bit rough. Not terribly, not compared to bigger cities, but he's sitting there, and I think he was first in line. And there was one of those very loud, aggressive young guys that, for whatever reason, I think he wanted his spot. So he was trying to intimidate everybody in the line. And the guy's name was Randy. Not the bad actor, but in any event, all of a sudden this guy went after Randy. And we were probably, I don't know, my best friend and I were 5 people back, standing there, and I just watched. So he starts wailing on Randy, and Randy's basically helpless. And these two guys that are a couple behind us, boom, immediately go running up there, grab the guy, shove him up against the wall, and hold him
Yeah.
to save Randy. And through all that process, my friend and I both just stood there, hearts racing, but not acting.
Frozen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so after they didn't pound him, but they roughed him up. There were a couple of med students at UMKC in the 6-year program, and they were scared to death afterwards that they were going to get expelled.
Wow.
So they came over, the guy just loudmouth, I'm going to get my friends, I'll be back, all that's just screeching all the way down the street that he was coming back for his revenge. And they came up to us because we were basically the next two biggest guys there. The watchers. So still shame. He could have killed Randy for all I know.
Yeah.
It was outrageous. And to know that I stood by and did nothing, and they didn't even hesitate. That's who I want to be.
Yeah. Aren't you doing that work?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I want to be the person that there's not any hesitation. You see wrong being done and you act. These days, I mean, this is a long time ago, 1980s.
Yeah.
Not everybody was carrying a gun back then, etc. So, but it's not as if violent crime didn't happen. That was violent crime. Now, whether that guy had been armed, etc., I don't know what was going through my mind. All I know is we froze.
Yeah.
So those guys came up and they just said, hey, we're really worried we're going to get kicked out of school for that. If he comes back with friends, will you help us? And we said, yes, we will.
Yeah.
And then everybody's hyper vigilant, etc. And he didn't show back up.
Yeah.
Until the concert. And security hauled that guy out. So it was a missed opportunity, something that I would change if I could go back.
Yeah.
I would still be scared, though. And you hear the things in the news about people getting attacked on the trains or those sorts of things. I want to be the person that steps in, regardless of the risk.
Yeah.
Not letting you kill this person.
Yeah.
Not if I can stop you. So, rescuing?
No. Well, yes, but not in the way that we talk about it typically in the mental health field.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, those were opportunities the universe gave me to learn.
Yeah.
So, and the issue is in those situations, you can get hurt.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Killed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think my choice is that's what I will do if I see that again.
Yeah.
So. There's other times too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep going?
I do, just to give another different scenario example. This one's much more innocuous but it really struck home with me.
Yeah.
And I've told you about it before. I'm a young man just out of law school. I've got a modest house in a small town in a cute little neighborhood, but nothing fancy at all. And we didn't have a lot of money, but we had enough that if I'd wanted to do this. So a Girl Scout came to the door. And instead of just buying a box of cookies from her, I said I couldn't. And then I, closed her. She's like, okay. And I closed the door and I went back in. And 2 seconds later, I was like, oh. So I turned around and came back out and she was gone.
Yeah.
I walked up the street and she was nowhere to be found. She probably went through the side yard in tears. So I swore to myself at that point, if some kid ever comes up and asks me at my door, do you want to buy this?
Yeah.
I'm buying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's just one.
Right.
And to tell them, hey, that takes a lot of courage to do that. Thank you. Whew, talk about a missed opportunity. Just, it would have, in the big scheme of things, cost me nothing to have potentially made a big impact. You know, that moment that you take to just hold somebody in that space, you have value, and being able to dig deep, because that takes courage.
It does.
And just to be able to hold that space for them to encourage it. Don't want to do that again. Rescuing? A little bit.
I think it's hard, babe. I don't think anything's so simple. Maybe what she needed was to not make the sale. I don't know.
I don't know either, and that's true.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting here thinking, what if it had been a Kirby vacuum salesman?
Right.
$500, $700 in the 70s for a vacuum. Yeah. Or an Encyclopedia Britannica salesman.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody who, but I don't have that same soft spot in my heart for the adult who is scrapping to feed their family with door-to-door sales.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus
a child. Yeah. No, I hear you.
And are they really any different? Maybe. But usually the adults want a lot more money.
Yeah. Yeah. Not $3.
Yeah, it was $2.50 at the time. I think it may have been $2.
$2 for a box of Girl Scout. Oh, you're shaming yourself again.
I am. Well, it's just like, really, you can't go find 8 quarters somewhere.
Oh.
No, yeah. The shame piece is a piece of that I think we should talk about. And why do we do it? And what should we do about it? How do you deal with it? What do you think?
Gosh.
Any wisdom?
Well, it's interesting going back to the door-to-door person, I think. Man, there's just so much that goes into it. Can we even pause and think about it? Regardless of what is presented to us, right, is really what I'm thinking about. Not just the door-to-door sales, whether it's an adult or a child, but can we pause, or are we just reacting? Are we reacting to an old story? Are we tired? Are we sick? Are we Are we broke, right? Yeah, broke. I would guess there was very, very little that we purchased growing up from anybody that came.
Sure.
Door to door. Yeah. So, but now in our life, can we pause to think about it? To think about what's being asked of us? Or is it reactive? Because it can be reactive, yes, reactive, no. It doesn't have to just be a reactive no. A reactive yes is often rescuing, whether it's avoidance of ourselves or wanting them to avoid, uncomfortableness. I'm not talking about Leroy or Randy, because to me, I would have harmed someone. So, because I was a fighter when I was younger.
You'd have been those guys running right up immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. I broke some kid in the neighborhood's hand because he was picking on my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was a year older than me. I still remember his name. Anyway, I won't say it out loud. But yeah, there was, it's interesting because as you were sharing that, I thought, man, but it wasn't like I thought about it either. It was a reactive decision, right? That I was having, whether that or I remember, like, it was hard for me to, it's going to make me bringing it up. often when the abuse was happening, my parents were frozen and they didn't get up off the couch. That's my phrase, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what to do. And so for me, I don't sit on the couch. What I've learned is how for it to not be reactive. I've learned for it to be more intentional. But I put myself in danger, out of reacting and proving I was brave and strong. And I remember once I was 16 driving, and my parents were in their car driving, and we were going to my grandparents, and we were like next to each other at a stoplight. And there was, so it was like a T intersection, and we were going straight, and there was a metro bus. No, it couldn't have been a T intersection because there was a car in the left-hand turn lane. But there was a metro bus crossing in front of us and like going left. And the car that was in the left-hand turn lane had died in the middle of the intersection, and it was full of people. And the metro bus, when the light turned green, decided to try to go. And then there were cars behind it. And so the metro bus ends up getting stuck in the middle of the intersection. Can't go forward, can't go backward. And everybody's just sitting there. And I'm like, well, this is crazy. And not thinking about it. I mean, that this is crazy was probably instantaneous. I wasn't actually thinking about it. And I got out of my car and told the people that were in the car that had died in the intersection to put it in neutral. And I got in between the car and the metro bus and pushed the car out of the intersection. And then got in my car and drove the rest of the way to my grandparents. And I remember my parents being like, who is that person? Like they knew it was me, but I mean, like, I think that was something that was always like a thing for them. Like, who is she, doing that? But I couldn't sit on the couch. And I don't want to say that I always responded. I'm sure there are times that I did not respond. But I've put a lot of effort as an adult to doing it intentionally, even if I'm afraid.
There's a balance there somewhere when I've been in public places where somebody is raising their voice and they're, they're being cruel to somebody or threatening, not in an actual hands-on way, like with Randy. And the question at that point is what's the point where do we have any responsibility to intervene? And that's a personal decision,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And where is the point where you step in? It's a good way to get shot these days.
Well, and I don't know how many people carry guns or don't carry guns. I just know that it's more than it used to be.
Right.
I don't actually ever think about getting shot. For sure, after I became a mother, what I chose to be brave around changed. There was, I think, a pretty instantaneous response to, I need to be here to raise my children. I think we've talked about this a little bit before, but it would depend on the circumstances.
Right.
It really would be a time where I would, think clearly as best I could about what choice am I making. Do I trust myself? Do I trust others? I mean, what I can tell you is when I see people being brave, whew, I mean, I just cry. I mean, like if there's like a reel, or, some clip that comes up on my phone, which will probably start now again tonight since we're talking about it and my phone's in the same room. But when I see those things, like, somebody caught in a rip current and people form a human chain to go out and save that
Right.
person. Whew. I mean, so many people being brave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To save somebody, right?
Yeah, and some people drown doing it too.
Yeah. There was actually a homeless man that drowned in Yachats this year trying to save someone that happened to. Yeah, it's really sad. I'm pretty sure that you met him.
Oh, really? You think that was him?
Yeah.
Yes, I helped him out.
Yeah. Yeah. Risking his life to save somebody. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard, babe. I don't think there's an answer. I just think what's our integrity, right? I mean, what's the best we can do in that moment?
Right.
Because to me, it's like, can we reduce the amount of shame? Because I don't think shame reinforces good behavior or good choices or thoughtful choices,
Sure, but if you it's interesting to me because what life do you want to live? The one where you tried to save somebody's life, even if you failed and died, or where you turned your back.
Yeah.
But then there's also a part of me that would assess my abilities to swim, the chances of us both drowning.
Yeah.
That would go through my head,
Yeah.
to be quite honest about it.
Because
I'm
it
not
does
sure I
happen.
would dive into the Pacific Ocean
Yeah.
with a riptide
Right.
or sneaker wave, whatever
Right.
it is that got the person to go do that.
Yeah.
And I feel shame in talking about it, saying that, but that's the honest truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the man that died a couple of years ago at the Devil's Churn,
Right.
when he tried to jump across the chasm and fell in, and it's just
Horrible.
crazy in there.
Yeah.
And the paramedics would not go in.
Right.
Because they were not
Right.
water rescue trained for that scenario, and they didn't have the equipment. So they made a calculated decision. This is my understanding from reading the news accounts. I wasn't there. We don't need 5 dead people versus 1, but it's just horrific.
It is.
And my guess is the trauma from that is lifelong.
Yeah.
Making that decision and choosing not to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it would be, if you've seen this place, it's a chasm that comes in from the ocean that the waves have cut into the basalt. And it just swells and crashes 30 feet high. It's insane.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Do you think you'd dive in?
No. But for me, I'm always planning, what do I need to have on me to be able to help someone?
Right.
Right. Yeah. How would I respond? Yeah. What would I do? Yeah. There's always a part of me that's looking. Yeah.
Those, to me, they're all opportunities. And it doesn't have to be right or wrong, but it does have consequences.
Yeah.
Choices that we make or our oblivious response.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't even notice because we're not present enough. If you were to be the therapist for one of those first responders who is standing there. There were other people who had tied together belts and clothes and tried to throw down a lifeline. This guy would grab hold and then he would lose it with the next wave
Right.
until he hit his head.
Right.
But if you were dealing with those people who didn't dive in,
Yeah.
or the paramedics, especially the paramedics, I think, they made a professional decision. It's probably their training too.
Mm-hmm.
But people were angry.
Yeah.
Whew.
I know.
How would you help with the shame of that?
Well, having worked with first responders, veterans for years, there's so much that goes into what they call a moral injury.
It's deep.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people don't recover. Some of the suicide is that, they don't find their way out. The shame is too much. I think holding space for them well, not trying to talk them out of it, allowing them to work through the process, supporting their body in the process. I wish we could think our way out of trauma, but that doesn't tend to be how it works. Loving them. I mean, truly loving them because they don't feel lovable. Yeah. Even the ones that tried, the ones that couldn't, ordered not to, whatever. But the ones that tried to and failed, there's still a significant amount of shame that can go along. I mean, that was, I would say for me, my first awareness of like secondary trauma. As a therapist was, working. I'm not going to repeat the story because it's too much. Nobody needs that in their mind. But he did try. And he was unsuccessful. And he was working through it so much. And it's so interesting because, my gosh, I probably haven't seen him in over 10 years, but he actually showed up on my, like friend request things. And I was like, whoa, I haven't seen that name in a really long time. And I just remember, him trying to work through that, not feeling like he was strong enough, good enough. Just the sadness and the grief and, will I be able to be successful next time? And so it's a lot. Yeah, and for me, it was his reality was my biggest fear. And so that's, part of what stuck to me about it. It was just so resonant with my own fear. Yeah. So holding space, unconditional love, not trying to talk them out of it, supporting them, explaining the body and the mind. I think that piece, but not telling somebody they shouldn't feel that way. I don't think that's helpful.
Sure.
Or, why are you still thinking about it? It's been 10 years, whatever, like.
Yes. Just get over it.
Right. There was nothing you could do.
Time to move on.
Right. If we were that simple. So,
not every choice to help somebody is a life or death situation for us
No.
as a potential actor,
Yeah.
right? And I've done it several times in closing arguments in trial.
Yeah.
You have been put in a position where you can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the power.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe you wanted to help people before, but now you've got the power to do it if you choose to do it.
Yeah.
And the question is, why are we here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we here to help our fellow man,
Mm-hmm.
fellow woman,
Mm-hmm.
fellow people?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or are we here to choose to turn away?
Mm-hmm.
And it's powerful stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
even I don't always step up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do it more and more.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about, who you put effort into being, and even watching you grow, as an attorney over the last 7 or 8 years, I think you're more brave than you were when I met you.
I'd agree.
Mm-hmm. Willing.
The safety part for me as a child was to freeze.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was the only way to
survive
that I could find.
Right.
Fighting back was not going to stop it.
Right.
So my work is to overcome that.
Yeah. Every day you work on overcoming your freeze.
I do.
Right. Yeah. Our body's just trying to protect us.
Yeah. Well, and that, just so people know, that's going to be the subject of our next retreat.
Yes. Becoming unshakable. Yeah. From self-doubt to daring.
It's from self-doubt to daring. And I chose the daring.
Yes, you did.
There are so many opportunities that I've been given to be daring.
Yes.
In my career that I've taken now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've got a lot to share with people and maybe help others overcome that freeze response like mine, or there's many other responses
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah. 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 To come into presence and groundedness and be able to be intentional and thoughtful in our decisions. Yes. To be brave, doing things even when we're afraid.
And to recognize the power of vulnerability.
Yes.
And this is I repeat it, but it's true.
Yes. Yeah.
In the courtroom and in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
What have we got to lose ultimately?
Mm-hmm.
We're all have a one-way ticket.
Yes.
It may be repeated, depending on your beliefs.
Yeah.
But it's a one-way ticket this time.
Yeah.
So, what do we choose?
Yeah. What do we choose?
And do we freeze ourselves and beat ourselves up because we didn't choose that time, or that time, or that time, or that time? Well, today's the day.
Today's the day.
And if it's not today,
there'll be another opportunity.
Then I'll try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. I have a lot to share along those lines. I've had to do a lot in my training.
Yeah.
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 What?
I was just thinking maybe you'll let me do that exercise I keep wanting to do. And you're like, oh, another liability release. It's not that dangerous. But you're an attorney.
Yes, I am.
Oh.
You?
I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for the conversation today.
Yeah, I'm grateful for the opportunity to do this.
Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to explore life with you. We encourage curiosity, self-growth, and we strive to be more compassionate every day.